The names on the rocks are those who have died crossing our desert. Those are names we get from the medical examiner's office of those people who have been identified. But because people are often found in very secluded areas, they're often impossible to identify. And so you'll see over and over again written on those rocks, desconocido, unknown. And so we pray every year at our migrant service, our migrant Sunday service, that God would comfort those families who still wonder where their loved one is.
Back out to Rebecca Taylor. She's covering the story of the Mexican immigrant who's taking sanctuary at a local church.
Daniel Ruiz and his family walked into the Southside Presbyterian Church just after 5 o'clock this evening. This was the deadline set by a judge ordering Ruiz to report to immigration officials for self-deportation.
Well, what led you to make this decision to offer sanctuary?
Every day in Tucson, we're seeing individuals like Daniel being torn apart from their families.
I believe in God, and I know God gave me this family, and only God can take or broken my family, not the laws, not this country, not immigration, just God.
Him leaving is my number one fear, because the family would totally fall apart. We need him to sustain the family, because my mom can't work and I can't work. I'm 13 years old, and yeah, that's my greatest fear, my dad leaving.
We're prepared to have him here as long as he wants to stay. Until his case is closed, until he feels safe to return to his home, he will be here with us in our church home.
Me voy a quedar hasta que tenga una respuesta. Esperemos que tengamos una respuesta y decirle a las personas que están viendo, que están oyendo este mensaje, que están en la misma situación, que nos unamos para que se den cuenta, pues no nomás aquí en Arizona, sino en todo el país, lo que está pasando aquí en la frontera, lo que está pasando con las familias que son separadas de sus padres, los niños, y necesitamos que el gobierno haga algo y que mire la situación que está pasando.
Illegal immigration is a highly polarizing issue in the United States, especially in the border state of Arizona. One side says illegal immigrants should be deported because they broke the law. The other says it's a human rights issue and undocumented immigrants should be allowed to stay. The debate can get so heated, both sides hold their ground believing it should be their way or the highway. But no matter what side of the fence you're on, the problem of illegal immigration affects millions. Undocumented people, as well as their families, live in fear. Fear of being separated from ones they love. I first met Daniel while out on assignment. I was there to cover him entering sanctuary at Southside Presbyterian Church. Look, that's me. And he was hoping that he would get cleared to stay in the U.S. under President Obama's new immigration policy on illegal immigrants living here. I wanted to follow his story from start to finish. I know I couldn't do that in a report limited to 1 minute and 30 seconds. I wanted to tell his story. Watch Daniel and his family face a difficult time in their lives, a situation that many other people are facing.
If you know your American history, you know that during the Civil War period, an escape route for blacks fleeing slavery was the Underground Railroad. Today, operating in the Southwest is another Underground Railroad.
The sanctuary movement began here in this church in the 1980s, and it was a response to the waves of people traveling to the United States, fleeing civil wars in Central America. They were coming here to seek asylum.
The Southside Presbyterian Church in Tucson is one of several churches that provide sanctuary to illegal aliens from Central America. It is here that Pedro is reunited with his wife and family. And Yolanda and Antonio are together again with their children who made it safely across the Mexican border.
How many people do you estimate that you helped smuggle into this country?
Personally, I don't know. I haven't kept count.
There was an underground movement that really sprung up throughout our nation to give them shelter and hospitality in a time when our government was deporting them back to death squads.
Do you believe that your husband will end up in jail?
I think it's fair order of probability. But it's one of those things, until it happens, I'm just not going to think much about it.
Do you think it'll be worth it?
Oh, yeah.
And you do?
I'll have to admit that in some ways jail would almost come as a relief.
If you saw someone laying there severely wounded, you wouldn't just walk on by. If you know, you have to do something. You know, neither one of us wants to be a good German.
We felt that it was time to act in this way. We have seen over and over again families torn apart, mothers taken from children, fathers taken from wives, and it's heartbreaking for us to see.
Me vine en el 2000 por el desierto, por Douglas.
Daniel, he spent like 5 days in the desert. He walked a lot, and all the time he has to walk in the night. Because during the day, it's so many border patrols. So he rests in the day, and he walking by the night.
Y lo único que me dijo el que me cruzó, que nomás miraba la luna. Y me vine caminando por el desierto. Cuando yo venía por el desierto me encontré a dos personas. Era un muchacho y una señora. La señora tenía su pie malo y ella decidió no seguir caminando. El muchacho era su sobrino y ellos se quedaron ahí para que lo rescatara la patrulla fronteriza, y yo tuve que caminar 3 días más solo por el desierto en la noche.
We're out here in the desert at night, just outside of Tucson, Arizona, to see what Daniel possibly went through during his trip back to his family. Daniel was using the moonlight to get across the desert when he was trying to get to his family, but on a night like tonight, there is no moon and it's very dark, and unless you have some sort of a light source, it's hard to see just a few feet in front of you.
I was so scared about him because most of the time people don't
make it.
Yeah.
Sí tenía miedo, más que nada tenía miedo de no estar yendo para donde tenía que ir, porque no sabía ni siquiera dónde estaba. Y cuando ya miré la ciudad, la luz de la ciudad de Tucson, ya mi corazón se llenó de alegría. Cuando yo llegué aquí, yo agarré un bus porque andaba todo cochino y todo, las pies, todos cortados, y yo no tenía para el bus, yo no sabía que tenías que dar una tarjeta en el bus o dinero, y yo me subí al bus y el del bus me dijo que me bajara.
And it was so sad for me. But
Did you think you'd ever see him again?
yes. But now we're together. And I'm so happy for that.
This is the Arizona-Mexico border in Nogales. And this is the 20-foot fence that's designed to keep unauthorized access into the two countries. But many undocumented immigrants still find ways to cross. The journey isn't easy, and for many, it's deadly.
We're in Tucson, Arizona. This is the Pima County Medical Examiner's Office, and we see all the non-natural or accidental deaths or deaths of people who we don't know who they are.
Dr. Gregory Hess is the medical examiner for Pima County. The desert makes up a large portion of the area his office oversees. He's seen his share of immigrants whose lives were taken by this dangerous trek. These red dots represent the death of a migrant whose remains were found in the desert.
We call those deaths undocumented border crossers. And they're either accidental deaths most of the time from exposure to the elements, hyperthermia being too hot, or hypothermia being too cold, or dehydration. Or sometimes we just don't know how people died because they might be skeletal remains or they might be very decomposed, and that you can still do an examination, but it's difficult to accurately determine a cause of death in those types of circumstances.
There are many shrines like this one all across southern Arizona. They're meant to remember the people who lost their lives crossing that unforgivable terrain. Those who do make it across the first time may be tempting fate if they do it again.
It's tragic, and it's tragic that it's not something that it's not talked about enough in our nation, what is happening because of our broken immigration system, that people are dying in our desert.
We find more remains in the desert in June, July, and August. It's sort of almost like a bell curve if you were to look at a monthly plot of increased remains found, primarily because it's so hot. So if people are trying to cross through the desert during this time of the year, if something goes wrong with their plan, the margin of error is much less than if the temperature was lower.
If we weren't able to provide him with sanctuary, he would have been deported. But I tell you, I know him well enough to know that nothing could keep him from his precious son and his beautiful wife. Nothing would keep him. And so he would be one of those folks crossing the desert, and his name could be written on one of those rocks. But we were able to offer him sanctuary so that his name would never be written on that rock, so that his family would never be separated. And that is, I don't care what the risk is. People say, are there legal risks? Are there, I don't care about those who say we're breaking the law, that we're not doing what Christ commanded. I don't care. We're preventing his name from ever being on one of those rocks, and that's enough for us.
The jurisdiction of the Pima County Medical Examiner's Office has been the busiest for these kinds of deaths in the United States since 2000. So here we have, an average 176 deaths a year. All of them come in initially unidentified. Many people don't have identifications. If they do have an identification, it could be a false identification, or they may be using an alias. And so it becomes a process of trying to identify that person.
The medical examiner's office works closely with the nonprofit group Colibre Center for Human Rights. The group uses the items that were found on a dead migrant to look for clues as to who someone could be.
Of the 2,200 or so remains that we've had since 2001, we've identified about 65% of those. So it's more than half. We still have 700 to 800 unidentified.
Tengo 18 días hoy y pues mi experiencia ha sido que no he tenido una respuesta para no sé qué va a pasar. Yo estoy esperando que me den una respuesta pronto y estoy contento y la gente me apoya mucho aquí en el santuario y estamos luchando para que todo salga bien.
It is tough, and he keeps asking us, is there anything that I can do around the church to... He's a maintenance worker by trade, and so he's wondering what he can help do around the church.
Yo extraño lo que me ha gustado de aquí es que toda la gente pues te trae cosas y pues nunca estás solo, y lo que extraño de mi casa son mis perros y mis perros, tengo 2 perros, y también pues mi trabajo y estar libre.
I think it's hard for him. He's a hard worker, and so he would like to be out in the community, working hard and supporting his family. So I think that that's a struggle for him. But I think he tries to stay busy. He's a wonderful painter, and so he's been doing paintings while he's here. We have time of prayer every day. There's people who come and visit with him.
I'm coming visit him every 3 or 4 days because I live in Tucson, so I have to come to see Carla and Carlos Daniel, his son. And we are sad because this is happening right now to them.
It's almost sad. You need to wait for like 4 more minutes. I mean, sometimes, not all the time, but I make flour tortillas.
Oh, really?
Wow. It's incredible.
You gotta come back for that.
But not today. I'm so tired. Sorry. It's like not my home, I know I can use everything, but I don't feel with like free to use everything. I don't know if you can understand. So that's why I miss missing my home, my kitchen. It's so different here. It's not too bad. We feel comfortable here, but it's not like my home,
Did you ever think this would happen to you?
No. I never think that was gonna happen, because we're a good family. We always been together. We always been in the church. We didn't do anything wrong to get in trouble, And it's so hard for my family right now.
It's been tough for me living here because I get bored. Like, I have nothing to do. I spend most of my time on my iPod. And I visit my grandma a lot because my grandma lives 2 blocks away from my house. So I go to my house and I clean stuff up. I keep the floor, I mop it and stuff. I watch TV there. And then my cousins, they come here a lot and they play around with me because I get bored, and I go over there to their house because their parents work a lot. So I go over there and take care of them, and I do anything just to keep my mind busy.
Mi hijo está triste, pero él no quiere demostrarlo. Se hace fuerte porque él piensa que nosotros vamos a estar tristes, pero yo le digo muchas veces a mi hijo que saque lo que trae adentro, porque él se quiere hacer fuerte, pero yo sé que está sufriendo por dentro.
I know every day we're more strong, because we love so much our family. And when I see my son, I know I have to be more strong every day, more strong to bear, to be with him, because when he tell me, "Mommy, I wish to be in a university and be somebody to really help the people," because he wants to be a lawyer, and I think I'm gonna be with my son when that happens, and my husband too.
And what else? Dear President Obama, I write today to address the future of Mr. Daniel Ruiz, a resident of Arizona's 3rd Congressional District, and to respectfully request a suspension of his pending immigration removal. Daniel Ruiz is an ideal example of an individual who this administration defines as low priority for removal.
Congressman Raul Grijalva serves the district where Daniel and his family live. He heard about Daniel's situation and wrote to President Obama asking him to close Daniel's case and let him stay here under prosecutorial discretion.
Focusing on criminals who endanger our communities rather than students who are earning their education. And today, deportation of criminals is up 80%. We've improved on that discretion carefully and thoughtfully. Well, today, we're improving it again. Effective immediately, the Department of Homeland Security is taking steps to lift the shadow of deportation from these young people. Over the next few months, eligible individuals who do not present a risk to national security or public safety will be able to request temporary relief from deportation proceedings and apply for work authorization.
Hey, what's up, kid?
Grijalva says Daniel's case got a lot of attention, and he wanted to get involved to ebb the fears of deportation for undocumented people.
I think that him moving towards sanctuary not only heightened the story, but I thought gave it the time opportunity so that people that supported his cause could rally behind him. Otherwise, it would have been detention. And once you're in detention, it's very difficult to create a scenario around that, because unfortunately he's got to have done something wrong if he's in detention. And, did he do something wrong? It's a civil violation. It's not mayhem, it's not felonious, it's not cruelty to others. He didn't rob anybody.
Ahí antes de llegar a la Irvington, por el 19, y me paró un policía de la Highway Patrol. Me dijo que mi carro tiraba humo, because mi carro tenía unas calcomanías de una radio mexicana, and I have a little football soccer, pelota de soccer, en el retrovisor, y cuando me paró me dijo que mi carro tiraba humo. Mi carro, yo lo acababa de hacer el emission smoke, y mi carro había pasado todo bien. So le dije yo que lo acababa de llevar, me dijo no, está tirando mucho humo, quiero tu licencia y tu registración. Y yo le di una licencia de México, y él me dijo que no me servía, que le diera otra de Arizona. Yo le di la tarjeta consular, me dijo, la miró y miró la licencia y me las tiró en el pecho y me dijo no sirven. Y ya fue cuando me dijo que le iba a hablar de migración y me llevaron. Yo llevaba mi lonche para comer en mi trabajo, y yo le dije que si podía agarrar mi lonche, y me dijo no puedes agarrar nada del carro. Yo pues ya me esposó y me sentó en la orilla de la carretera. Esperé como unos 10 minutos y llegó el Border Patrol.
When we come to this country without papers, that's true, we broke the law. But when we come because we need to come, because we don't have a job in our countries.
I know that you've had a lot of support in your own community here, of Daniel being here, but when you look at the articles and the comments that people post about him, I'm sure that maybe it gets to you. He's illegal. He broke the law when he came to this country. He needs to be sent back. What are your responses to that?
I don't read those comments. I don't read comments at the end of news articles because because it upsets me. I don't mind. I've been called all kinds of things that people think are terrible things to say, like I'm a community organizer, like God forbid, or I'm a Marxist, God forbid. Which I'm a pastor. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor, and I'm a mother, and it is from that identity that I do these things. It doesn't bother me when people say things about me. It bothers me greatly when they say nasty things about Daniel. And so I don't read those comments. But what I would say to those people is, for a minute, think about what would it be like for you if you were living in extreme poverty with no way to feed your children. What would it be like for you if your kid at the end of the day said, Dad, I'm hungry, and you had nothing to do to alleviate that hunger? I mean, think about what you would do to be able to provide for your child. And I think that when we put ourselves in those shoes, we will realize that there's no wall we wouldn't climb, there's no ocean we wouldn't swim for our children. And I think that if you have to understand that, as high as we build border walls, there's nothing greater than the love of parents for their children.
Do you think more people need to do that, to take sanctuary, to get the same?
I think there's been an education on this one. You don't want to say everybody run to their neighborhood church and seek sanctuary. And there's been other sanctuary issues in Chicago where inevitably that person was deported. This circumstance, this family, I think there's certain uniqueness to it. And I wouldn't call it the cookie cutter approach to trying to keep your status in this country. But it does highlight the need to fix the broken immigration system. It does highlight the need of family unification, that's for sure.
We're driving from Tucson to Phoenix, where we're going to meet with Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He is the sheriff of Maricopa County, and he calls himself the toughest sheriff in the world, and he has a very tough stance on illegal immigration.
I mean, what are you arguing about the church? They got sanctuary all over the country. What do they have to go to the church for? The way things are going now with the Obama administration.
Sheriff Joe Arpaio was a controversial figure in the illegal immigration debate.
Sheriff Joe under fire this morning. His crime patrols are taking center stage in court as the civil trial against him picks up today.
What the DOJ has said is that Latino drivers are between 4 and 9 times more likely to be pulled over by your officers, but only about 30% of the population of Maricopa County is Latino. So when it looked at that way, it seems clear that there's racial profiling going on.
Well, that's their opinion.
How do you determine, after today's ruling, who is here illegally and who is not? What's the method?
He was a frequent guest on the national cable news outlets defending his office's practices in arresting and detaining illegal immigrants after Governor Jan Brewer signed into law the controversial Senate Bill 1070, which made it a crime for an immigrant to be in the state of Arizona without carrying required documents.
A measure to crack down on illegal immigration, the governor saying that she really had no choice.
Ultimately, the United States Supreme Court struck down many of the law's provisions, but Sheriff Joe is still catching the fallout. A federal court found him guilty of racial profiling, and he's been the target of many lawsuits.
You have this undocumented immigrant taking sanctuary in a church. What do you think about that?
Boy, that's a tough one. Mixing religion with government. I kind of try to shy away from that. Yet, if it's a violation of law and throw out the sanctuary, I don't know. Would they also do that for murderers or burglars? I don't know. The law, I can understand the humanity part of it. Yes, I do. I do understand that.
I think they need to remember who we are as a nation and how we came here. Daniel came here in the way that my great-grandfather did, and in a way many of the folks who are saying these things, they are immigrants. We need to remember who we are as a nation.
And the reason I'm against amnesty is a strange reason. It's not what you may think. My mother and father came here legally from Italy. I don't think it's fair for all the people around the world that want to come here to be in the United States of America, become a citizen, and they have to wait for years, have to hire attorneys, to get here, but they don't violate the law. They wait for years. And then you're coming across the Rio Grande or coming across the border, and you're going to be given amnesty and eventually be a U.S. citizen. It's a fairness issue, too, as far as I'm concerned.
Ya tengo 25 días y me siento ya un poco cansado, pero hago cosas.
What do your friends say about you in this situation?
Well, my friends feel proud of me because most of my friends in my school have parents that are also like immigrants. So they're proud of me because like I'm representing their families too. It's not just us who are suffering like losses and stuff.
Yo tengo que estar aquí. Mi abogada me dijo que hasta que no hubiera un papel firmado, yo no podía salir de aquí. No estoy seguro fuera.
Daniel and his family have now been living in the church for almost a month. They say it's becoming more difficult to keep busy as they anxiously wait for any news on Daniel's case.
Estas manos reflejan que dicen alto, stop, deportation.
Daniel's never painted before, but took it up as a hobby since his time inside this little room. Carla has been thinking more about what life would be like for her son Carlos if he didn't have a father figure around.
Because he's 13 years old, and it's a hard time. You know, teenagers, sometimes they are so difficult to understand the teenagers. And I know if his father is not with him, maybe he's gonna get in trouble because he's gonna be like confused.
Because I'm in that age, you know, or I'm starting to need my dad more. That's what my dad says. I don't get it right now, but I'll get it later.
But what is driving this family to stay on the church premises? They say it's the American dream.
América significa para mí todo. Aquí yo aprendí a trabajar.
In Mexico right now it's so hard to live in there because it's too much violencia.
En México no hay trabajo y hay mucha pobreza en México, mucho corrupción. Yo cuando me vine aquí estaba joven y podía lograr lo que me propusiera.
When we began in our family, we were so young. He didn't finish the high school, so it's hard to find a job in Mexico if you don't have any school or nothing.
Y aquí logré lo que yo tanto anhelaba, ser supervisor de apartamentos de mantenimiento, y prácticamente mi vida se ha basado en trabajo, familia, iglesia.
So that's why we moved to America to get a better life.
So right now we're driving to Douglas. This is the area where Daniel decided to cross from Mexico into the United States. So we're driving right now, and we're also interested in what other people have to say about America. So we're going to cross over into Mexico and talk to people there and see what their thoughts are on people who cross illegally, if they wish they could live here in America. So that's what we're heading out to do right now. 191 Mexico Red Lane. Douglas, Arizona, population 17,300, is another little town that borders Mexico. Daniel says he was smuggled into the country here back in 2000. He remembers it being a lot easier to cross and says it'd be riskier to attempt now. Directly on the other side is Agua Prieta, Sonora, Mexico. In January 2014, Sonora State Police said several people were shot to death in this Mexican town.
La suma de cadáveres, luego de 3 días de violencia en esta frontera, subió a 8 con el hallazgo de un hombre amordazado.
Officials say at odds are two rival drug cartels fighting over territory. These shootings prompted a State Department travel advisory warning U.S. citizens to avoid travel to this area. So right now we're in Mexico and feeling very stupid because our translator wasn't able to come with us today, and we have no idea how to talk to the people here. We have very elementary Spanish speaking skills, so hopefully we'll see how this goes. Why do people want to go to America?
For a better future, I guess. More money, and then for their families.
This man didn't want to give his name, but he agreed to speak with us. He says he's a U.S. citizen who knows how valuable it is having that status. Do you have family who wishes they were?
Yeah.
What is it like for them?
I mean, it's a problem, I guess, because they work and they don't have papers, I guess, and they can't come back to their parents, you know, to their family.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the way things are right now, where people are being deported and, you know?
Well, I mean, it's not like humanly right, you know. It's like against human rights, maybe. Give them a chance, I guess. I don't know, but it's a part of the laws too in government. You know? So I guess everybody's doing their job too.
Haciendo undocumental. This is Alejandra Aguay, a lifelong resident of Agua Prieta. ¿Qué opinas de Estados Unidos?
Pues ahorita está muy mal porque ya ve que la policía para a todos los pobres que andan allá indocumentados. Yo no sé si irán a arreglar a la gente que anda allá, como dice Obama, que les va a ayudar. Ojalá, ¿verdad? De toda la gente indocumentada que está allá, pues mucha gente a veces que batalla, que la echan para afuera, que dejan los niños en Estados Unidos y los papás para afuera, y eso está mal, porque pues ¿qué hacen las criaturas?
She takes care of her grandson during the day and sells clothes, shoes, and bags from her front yard to help the family bring in extra money.
Vivir, pues sí, porque se vive cómodamente.
¿Por qué?
Pues por eso, porque se vive cómodamente y para los nietos, niños, porque yo pues ya no tengo niños, y luego ya, pues ya estamos mayores, yo y mi esposa. México está muy peligroso ahorita aquí en México. Ya ve tantas cosas que pasan. Y luego está muy caro todo, muy fea la crisis.
¿Conoces personas ahí cruzando el desierto?
No. Tenía visa yo antes, pero me la quitaron. Nomás porque le hice el favor a una amiga que dijo, vamos para Douglas. Pues vamos, le dije, yo no pensé nunca jamás que su visa fuera chueca. Y pues me quitaron mi visa.
Hola. Buenas tardes. Teresa runs this neighborhood shop, selling food, toiletries, and candy. So, do you work here or is this your shop?
This is my.
Oh, this is yours?
This is mine. I'm trying to do something.
How hard is it to start your own business like this?
That's easy because my son and my daughter, they work in Douglas, so they help me. So it's easy for me. Not easy, but it's better than other people.
She was born in Guadalajara and immigrated to the United States and lived there for decades. Teresa was granted amnesty under President Ronald Reagan back in the 1980s.
President Reagan did sign the sweeping new Immigration Reform Act today. He said it protects the sacred possession of American citizenship. Millions of illegal aliens will be eligible for amnesty and will be able to apply for legal residency status, no questions asked.
So it's not hard for me, but now it's hard.
What do you think about those people who want amnesty now?
They need it because some people work too hard for
stay over there, and they need it. It's hard to live without the papers.
Do you know anyone who is living in America illegally?
I have a lot of family, you know.
That's up there?
Yeah, but...
Without papers and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
This is her granddaughter, a U.S. citizen. But Teresa believes that her granddaughter could also succeed here in Mexico if she was born and raised here, saying it's up to the person.
The factor is they pay a little money, they have a little rate, but twice a year they get a utility, you know, I don't know how it is, like a bonus, and it's good money, you know, like 50,000, it's good.
She moved to Agua Prieta in 2013 to be closer to family.
What do you think about people crossing the desert?
It's bad. It's bad. It's all. A lot of people there, they pass away, so this is so bad.
So we just interviewed a few people who live here in Agua Prieta, Mexico, and a lot of them had some, very interesting things to say about their life here and their life, or at least the life they would expect up in the United States, and how immigration needs to be changed. We spoke to one woman who was like, there's more opportunity up there. She wants up for her grandkids. So yeah, it's very eye-opening. While heading back to Arizona, we were stuck in line at the port of entry for about an hour. It's here we saw people trying to make a living. Some were just children selling items to American tourists. Some are disabled, relying on the charity of others. The Mexican government estimates that roughly 40% of the population in the country is living in poverty. In the United States, that rate is about 16%.
We need to be able to address what part we have played in those factors that push people to migrate. Because the thing is, nobody wants to leave their home. Nobody wants to leave their home to come. They don't want to leave Chiapas, where everyone speaks their language, where people have known them for generations, where their grandmother is, where their family is, to migrate to a country where people are going to hate them and call them all kinds of names and treat them poorly. People don't want to do that. They want to be able to stay home. But because of the economic injustices that have been perpetuated between our two countries, particularly the United States and Mexico, people feel forced, as if they have no other option. And so we need to look at other ways to be able to solve this problem.
Well, if I was president, which I'm not, governor, I could have been, but maybe I wouldn't have enough authority. But if I was president, I would go to Mexico, meet with the president, have a few beers, not once a year for a pony show. And I would ask the president, I'd like to send my border patrol or the Army across the border with you guys, work together, we'll get the job done. I used to do that when I was head of the DEA. I was operational. My agents were out there with the police making arrests and everything else. Operational. So why can't we go over there with our resources and work together? I think anybody would welcome that. We have armies in Iraq and Afghanistan, everywhere else. Why can't we go help Mexico stop this vicious problem of murders, drugs, which is killing our kids here, and illegal immigration? It's only common sense. It would never happen unless I was a president.
Members of Congress either have to quit being afraid of the issue, quit running away from it, and more importantly, quit exploiting it. We have a lot of exploitation of the issue for political purposes, especially around campaign time, and lower the rhetoric about it's us versus them, and begin to understand that we're talking about human beings here. We're talking about families like any other American family that must be given the opportunity to make their status permanent and legal.
won. Finally, we can go home.
Me siento bien contento y bien agradecido con todas las personas que me ayudaron.
Good, how are you? Are they interviewing Daniel right now?
Daniel and his family were once again thrust into the spotlight.
It was so fast because we was thinking maybe we're gonna have to stay here for the summer, maybe.
We'll have you all come up around the communion table.
After almost a month in sanctuary at Southside Presbyterian Church, he was told that he would be allowed to stay.
We're very happy. We're glad they're going to go home, but we are really going to miss them because they have become part of our family. They're in our hearts now.
Right, and as it stands, you've got 1 year of a stay of removal, right?
Yes.
Can you explain what that means?
Yes, when someone has an order of deportation, the next logical step that happens in these cases is they have a stay of removal that will allow them to stay and work for the next year, and then they apply for a renewal. Very happy. We're glad they're going to go home, but we are really going to miss them because they have become part of our family. They're in our hearts now. We put our trust in God, and we put our trust in this community. And neither God nor the community failed us. For yesterday we received the good news that you have been granted a stay of deportation, and you can now return to live at home with your family in peace. You can now return to work in order to provide for your wonderful family, and you can return to your community now without fear. And to this we say, Alleluia.
I'm glad that the administration agreed on a stay. That'll give him an opportunity to stay together, allow him to continue to work and hold his family together.
Buenas tardes a todos. Quiero darle gracias al Señor Dios Todopoderoso, primeramente porque Él fue el que me dio fuerzas, me ayudó a aguantar.
And allow the young man to go to 8th grade and continue to do what all kids do in this country. Learn and enjoy life. And I thought that story was worth telling.
We are really hoping that this will be a spark that will inspire other churches and other communities of faith to do the same, because there are so many other families that we need more churches to stand up and to be able to do the same thing that we're doing in order to have an impact. And I think that action, I think that action accompanied with the moral voice of the community of faith can impact policy. I was working with a Jewish colleague of mine, and he had this great quote from the Torah that I had never heard before that says, if you save one life, you are saving the world. And so maybe in some way, by saving this family, we were having a greater impact than we could even imagine.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way. From the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high.
Prayer works. Me siento bien contento, me siento emocionado.
A lot of times, at least in the sanctuary movement, there was this ethic that emerged out of communities of faith saying the ethic of loving and welcoming the stranger. And that was a really helpful ethic for that time. But that's not an ethic for today because these aren't strangers. These aren't people who are unknown to us. These are community members. These are presidents of PTAs. These are parents of kids who go to school with our kids. These are our neighbors. And so I think the command to love our neighbor is one that guides us now, as opposed to the command to welcome the stranger, because these aren't strangers. These are community members.
We've prayed a lot together. We've worshiped together. We've done a lot of things together. So it's appropriate that we would eat and dance and have a good time together in celebration. So welcome to you all. And why don't we begin with a word of prayer? Gracious God, we are grateful for all of your many blessings to us. For food, of course, and the way that it nourishes our bodies, but also for all those who are in this room and all those who surrounded Daniel's family in this difficult time in this past month. And we give you thanks that victory was ours.
Within Scripture, we have this command to care for widows and orphans that runs throughout Scriptures. Everywhere in Scripture, it says care for the widow and the orphan. Well, I also think that if we have the opportunity, we should intervene before widows and orphans are created by a broken immigration system.
How do you feel right now?
Great that the people would take their time to make this party.
I felt that we were in a unique historical moment when we could say yes to this family, and what an honor it would be for us to be able to hold this one family together.
Señor, tú has venido a la orilla, no has buscado ni a sabios ni a ricos, tan solo quieres que yo te siga. Señor, me has mirado a los ojos, sonriendo, has dicho mi nombre. En la arena he dejado mi barca, junto a ti buscaré otro mar. Señor, necesitas mis manos, mi cansancio, que otros descansen. Amigo bueno, que a mí me llamas. Señor, me has mirado a los ojos,
So we're driving to Daniel's house. He was able to go home a couple of days ago, so his family invited us to see how things are like, you know, where he is. But there it is. And it said it was the purple trailer. So Carla, I know that when you were at the church, you said that you were appreciative of everyone helping, but it wasn't your kitchen. But now that you are in your kitchen, how does that feel?
Oh, I feel so happy because I really miss my home, you know, to be in my own kitchen, cook my own food and everything. This is my space, this is my home. So I feel so happy to be here.
Yeah. When you got here, did you make anything, food, or have you been able to cook yet in your own kitchen?
No, we went to get some pizza because we were so tired. So yeah, but now we start with the real life, you know, make food and everything.
Estoy muy contento y ya me estoy otra vez pues ambientando a lo que es vivir en mi casa. Era lo que más deseaba en mi vida. Lo que más anhelaba era volver a mi casa, volver con mi familia, estar igual como antes, unidos.
The family is now back home. They've been doing their best to adjust back to normal. The last couple of days have been filled with visitors, family members coming over to celebrate, and a lot of unpacking. They say while what happened was the most difficult thing they've ever experienced as a family, it shaped their lives for the better.
I missed it a lot. I missed having my own space, because it was all cramped in there. And I also just missed my stuff, like my TV, my game station, and just I'm glad to be back here. I'm going to, from now on, I'm not gonna take my dad for granted. I'm gonna try to hang out with him more, because now I realize that I could have lost him. So I'm gonna try to hang out with him more. And
how do you think your family's gonna be different now?
I think we're gonna be more close as a family, because we spent all that time at the church close together as a family.
Doesn't work. Sí, todos los días yo y ella orábamos hasta me dormía muy tarde yo pensando en lo que iba a pasar y todo, pero gracias a Dios estamos bien contentos porque ya estamos en nuestra casa, en nuestro hogar. Nosotros tres somos los únicos que estamos aquí y siempre desde que yo llegué a Estados Unidos, siempre hemos estado juntos.
Aquí de frente a mí, escúchame muy bien, sin interrumpir. Hace ya tiempo que quería decírtelo, tratar de convivir, inútil resultó, nada de alegría, ni una lágrima, nada para agregar, ni para dividir. Tu trampa me atrapó y yo también caí. Que venga el próximo, le cedo mi lugar. Pobre del que vendrá, qué pena me da cuando en el cuarto él te pida siempre más. No te costará, se lo concederá. ¿Cómo sabes fingir que queda cómodo? Yo te conozco bien, no sufro más por ti. Y si vuelves a mí, te lo demostraré, porque esta vez yo sé, no se te olvida más. Sabes hacerlo bien, pero ilusiones no, que ya no caigo más y te arrepentirás, cuerpo sin alma. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Saliendo del pretorio, marcha una
procesión con rumbo al Calvario, gimiendo va un varón, la cruz en sus espaldas y agándole está, no puede caminar. No puede dar un paso y cae sobre el camino, recibe un latigazo sobre su cuerpo herido, no puede avanzar y escucha solo un grito: levántate, maldito. No puede ser maldito aquel que en su dolor exclama solo un grito: perdóname, Señor, perdona de sus faltas, no mires su actuación, de ellos ten compasión. Se tengo de un amigo, se tengo de un amor, se tengo de un humano que tenga compasión, que acepte esta sangre que derramando estoy por su salvación.